If we have Onsick online, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 5. That's quorum, right?
Yeah.
Who are we missing?
Mark Davis will be calling in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so. Good afternoon, everyone. It being 2:00 on Thursday, December 9th, we're calling together the Executive Director Search Committee of the Human Resources Committee to order. If we could call agenda, and I don't believe I had Madam Chair on that, if you can add her to the top. Thank you.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Pirog,
Here.
Davis, Leonard,
Leonard here.
Bonstock,
Here.
Onzick,
Insecure.
have a quorum.
Thank you, everyone. And again, Mark Davis called. He's having some difficulties, but he will join us the minute he gets to a phone that will call in.
Thank you.
So call to order, roll call, approval of minutes. There are no minutes. Public comment. Yeah, I don't see anybody in the room. Is there anybody online, Blair? Perfect. New and unfinished business. Presentation, discussion, establishment of the charges and goals of the committee, and define the dates for the committee's meetings. So, I don't know how formal we want to be here, but charging the goals of the committee, we are here today to, we have been without a executive human resources director for about 6 months, and at this point in time, Madam Chair and I both agree that, trying to get somebody in line for January was appropriate. We did promote somebody from within the ranks on a temporary basis. That person has been exemplary and professional in keeping us afloat and actually moving us forward. And that individual is a candidate in the mix that came through. But it's time. It's time for us to move forward. When Madam Chair asked me my opinion on handling this, the search committee that I was most comfortable with consisted of myself and the 2 prior committee chairs, that being Bill Leonard and Mark Davis, who have always without miss given the historical perspective that I think is so important to us. And then the next tier was the people that I felt were most interactive with human resources, and that being the IT department and finance. And just so I have this publicly, I did offer both to Mr. Onsick and Mr. Fonstock, who are both busy men, if they would like to put a delegate in instead of participating, and both of them did not hesitate to say, no, we would like to be involved in the process. So I after what we just put Joe through for the past few months trying to get a budget passed, and what Roger has just gone through with a reapportionment process, I want to give kudos to both of those gentlemen for willing to roll up their sleeves and help here. So I thank you both.
Thank you.
If we can define the dates for the committees and continue on the goals, just so I'm clear on this, the appointment process or the hiring process for an executive director, Madam Chair, this is my first time doing this, and possibly yours as well, but I want to make sure that we're understanding each other. We are a body that's put together under the committee, and we are to give recommendations to you, who ultimately makes a choice that tries to reach consensus from this group.
That is accurate.
Is that, am I accurate on that?
And with full approval of the board.
Of the board afterwards. So
Advise and consent.
yep. And I don't want, I've been asked this several times, who makes the hire and how does that work? And I don't want any politics or misunderstanding involved here. When you don't know because you haven't done it, the correct way of doing it is to simply ask questions.
Correct.
And Madam Chair and I are, while I don't know that we, because we've not discussed it at all, I don't know that we're in consensus on any individual. We are in agreement on the process. Is that
That is correct.
fair and
Correct.
reasonable?
The individuals that are selected will be selected by the committee, as I expect you all to do. And I will be here as a advisory capacity, just to give my opinion. But that decision is really made by this committee.
So any questions from any of the other 4 committeemen on this? Okay. The dates that we're trying to do this, I think that I was being overly aggressive in saying we would like to have a selection and series of interviews yet this week going into next week. I think we're going to need to push that back just a bit. Rolling up the sleeves and giving it the old college try, just, yeah, that was a little much after everything we've just been through. And so let's just take a minute and breathe and pause there. But if we can define this, I'm hoping that of the 20 applicants that came through, I have asked each one of the members of the committee to rank their top 5. And hoping we would have at least 3 that were concentric that we could invite in for interviews. And my goal today is to make sure that we're, discussing those 5 and that we, advocating for one versus another, but more importantly, understanding exactly what we're looking for. As I've shared with Mr. Leonard, I can really pick a racehorse, but I really have to understand which race we're in. And so just because you're self-employed or you're in business or you've been in a certain position for years doesn't make you qualified to be, or a professional interviewer. And I want to be open with that. I want to be absolutely honest with that. But I think with all 5 or 6 of us here, we represent a pretty strong collective that can get this done. Coming out of today, Madam Chair, I believe that we would want to be interviewing people next week, or at least inviting those people to interview. Is that
That
satisfactory?
would be correct. Once your candidates are selected, if you want to do 3, 4, 5, whatever you feel is appropriate, then we would arrange for that time to happen.
Okay, and if I can ask the group, when we say interview, my question is, who is we and how do you see that going? The last interview process that I was with in the county seemed to be a panel of people that were interviewing one after the other. I'm not sure if that was the correct way or not. I'm not sure if that was the best way to do things or not, but I'm just going to go around the horn on this. And Bill, how do you see this? In your opinion, how do you see this going down?
Well, I think now that we have the consensus of the group, the committee, quite honestly, I think the simplest way to do it would be see if any of the members have any changes, additions, or deletions, or things that they want to say about the individual candidates. And then if not, I think if we take a look at the top 5 or 6 people that were chosen, we should request interviews with them.
But how do you see the interview?
In what respect?
Like who is conducting the interview? Madam Chair and Cliff? Or a group of us in an interview process with 5 people interviewing? How do you see that?
I see a group. In
Okay.
the past, we've always had a group. The chairperson is there to observe and make comments if he or she would like. But I think the group, there's only 5 of us.
Okay,
And I think we all should be involved in it.
I agree.
okay. Roger?
So I think you do the, interviews with, I would say, 4 or 5, and you do it in person. And you basically do maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And you meet all 4 or 5 candidates. And
But who are the interviewers
I
in your,
think this committee would be,
perfect.
yeah, I don't see any difference.
Joe?
Well, I agree. I think that this committee would be the interviewers, and once the dates and times are established, I'll do my utmost to be there in person.
Madam Chair, I think you're in agreement on that.
Oh, without question,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and again, I'm ambivalent to this. I'm trying to just gather consensus from the committee. I think my personal goal on this is that I don't want anybody coming back 3 months from now, 3 years from now, saying, why did you do it that way? We did the best we could with the information we had at that moment in time. We tried to be nothing but fair about it. We tried not to steer anything. We tried to, here it is. Somebody will always complain, why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? So I just want to make sure that we have consensus amongst us on how we're going to do this and then present it to the board.
And out of that initial interview process, you may consider 2 final candidates and because of the importance of this position, to bring them back again
Second
for
interview.
a second
Agreed.
interview.
Agreed. And then, Madam Chair, if I could ask you, in my opinion, this is going from this, I don't have an opinion. My question is, where is it going from this group? Does it go back to human resources and then run through the normal committee structure, or is it going just directly to the board?
Directly to the board.
Okay, is everybody in consensus with that?
I think that's the way the ordinance is.
And it can be depending upon acceptance of a position and qualifications and making sure that they go through the appropriate background checks and references are checked. And again, with recommendation of this committee, that potential candidate could be conferred at the January board meeting.
Perfect,
Absolutely.
perfect. Again, I'm not steering, I'm just simply asking to make sure that we're all on the same page on that. And Blair, if you will let us know when Mark jumps in, that would be spectacular. Okay, great. All right, at this point in time, I think it's appropriate to move this to an executive session and out of public array to begin discussing the individual candidates.
So moved by Leonard.
Second by Fonstalk.
Can we just go all in favor on that, or do you
No,
Do roll
roll
call,
roll call it?
roll call, because you're going into executive.
Perfect. Roll call vote for open session. Roger, thank you.
Sturgis,
Surges here.
Pirog,
Here,
Gavest,
Gavest here.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Fonsack, Mazick.
Unsecure.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on item number 7, open session. We are approving 6 candidates to extend interviews to and asking Jane to set those up.
We have a consensus.
We have consensus on that. Is there
Yes.
any objection? Okay, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second Fonstalk.
Thank you all for your time this afternoon.
okay, very good.
All right.